7:02. With an introduction of light items, if any. I'm going to look disjointed, guys, because I just moved quickly. Do you have any late items? No late items. So would someone like to move the agenda as approved, or move the agenda?
As presented?
As presented?
I will move the agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor? That carried. Reading and adoption of the minutes. We'll move the minutes from the September 25th regular council meeting be adopted as presented or amended.
I can't move them because I wasn't there.
I'll move them.
I will second them because I read them and didn't see any errors.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Motion that the summary of the September 25th, 2018 public hearing be adopted as presented or amended. I can't move that because I wasn't here.
I'll move that.
Okay. Councillor Edwards, were you here?
No.
You weren't?
No,
Okay, what do we do about that?
You can second.
Okay, I'll second them, but we weren't here. Okay.
Oh, you weren't here.
I wasn't here either.
Because we don't have to have a quorum for the public hearing, what we can do is maybe we will hold off on approving the September 25th public hearing meetings.
Move that to the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll move it to the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, because I was late that night. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move those down the list, and we don't need a motion for that.
No, we'll just, I guess you want to postpone to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yes, postpone is the motion. So the motion to postpone to October 23rd's meeting.
I'll move that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Any petitions and delegations? We have none. Questions from the public and the press? We have none. Unfinished business. Councillor Thompson's report on page something.
So there's
Anything
no...
to add? Councillor Thompson, anything to add?
No, I'll just move receipt of the report for information.
Okay. I'll second it. All in favor? Carried. We have no correspondence requiring action.
Mayor Martin, may I interject?
Certainly.
Okay. Had highlighted the Canadian Federation of Independent Business letter as one that council may consider wanting administration to reply to. It's in regards to a repeal request of our City of McBride bylaw 772/2017 in regards to our fees for charging utility services to vacant lot owners.
Okay. Council, would you like to consider removing that from the information only section to be dealt with?
I'm sorry, I'm not following what the issue is.
Page 19, there was a letter from CFIB.
Yeah, I got that.
Go ahead.
Can I give the history?
Mhm.
Okay, so previously, property owners at 832 First Avenue had written a letter to council in regards to having to pay utility fees on vacant property that they own adjacent to their existing improvements and land. So I responded with a letter on August 13th, letting them know this was a new part of our bylaw, and that all vacant lot owners would be paying a water and sewer infrastructure rate, but it's at a lower rate than, it's 50% of the basic rates. So it looks like weren't satisfied with that, so they've contacted the Canadian Federation of Independent Business to follow up on their behalf. And so the letter is coming from CFIB asking with a repeal request of our bylaw.
Okay, and the issue is, she thinks we should take this out of our information only list, or what's, I'm not sure what the action
that council would just, take it out of the information and actually create a motion of an action to, for administration to reply to CFIB in regards to the repealing of their request to repeal.
Okay, so I'll move that we move that letter to new business on this agenda.
Just a point of information. Could we not just deal with a response from where it sits in the agenda? Just make a motion to reply, for administration to reply?
That's correct. We don't have to move it within the agenda. That's
Right.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So with
So there's
that.
a motion on the floor,
But it hasn't been seconded.
and the second, okay, so you can just let it die.
So I would make a motion, if I may, through the
Mhm.
chair, to have administration respond to the letter to CFIB. And in that letter, perhaps cite other communities that also have similar bylaws with regard to vacant lot access to sewer and water services. I think it I'll get a seconder.
I'll second it. Yes, Councillor Thompson.
This is not an uncommon thing. If you have services that run past your property, you have added value to your property. And this is something that we didn't have in place for many, many years. It was put in place simply to bring us into the 21st century along with all other municipalities.
Councillor Edwards?
Yeah, further to that, I think that the letter could point out that this letter from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses suggests that no service fee should be charged. We're not charging the full service fee. We're charging a reduced fee that reflects the fact that there's value added to the property by being serviced, whether the service is being used or not. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Outgoing, we have that. Bylaws, permits, and policies. We have zoning amendment bylaw number 780, 218. Motion that council give the zoning amendment bylaw number 780, 218 final reading and adoption.
I will move that final reading and adoption.
Okay. I will second it. Any question?
So just for clarification and maybe for the audience, this is the village's move towards the discussion on cannabis retail within the village limits and by business license restrictions, is that correct?
Yeah, this is for the zoning amendment for temporary prohibition of any cannabis retail stores in the community until we have time to establish the direction the community wants to go.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. B, Business License Amendment Bylaw 781, 2018. Motion that council give Business License Amendment Bylaw number 781 final reading and adoption.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Could I ask the administration to explain it better than I could?
Yes.
So this is the same temporary prohibition for retail cannabis sales related to our business license, which flows out of the zoning amendment.
All in favor? Carried. Report to council, grant writing support. Motion that council receive the report to council regarding grant writing support.
I think
I think we missed one.
Oops, sorry. Back to turbidity. I'm paying attention here.
You were a little foggy there.
Yeah, a little foggy. I can find my turbidity report. Motion that council receive the report regarding turbidity meter replacement.
I'll move it.
Thank you. I'll second it. All in favor? Carried. Motion that council approve the purchase of a Swan turbidity meter for $83,2125 and approves funding from the general surplus fund.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I'll second it. But I have questions if no one else does. I'm questioning the general surplus fund, not water surplus
we don't have a surplus in the water fund
at all.
to utilize.
Oh, okay, that explains that. Councillor Edward Thompson?
Just for clarification through the chair, so maybe I just, so we're going to take the full amount from the surplus? We don't have anything in maintenance to cover it?
Well, because it's $8,300, it actually is a capital expenditure, so we can't take it out of operational. It's our threshold for a capital expenditure is $5,000 according to our policy for capital expenditure. So this will extend, add some life to this, so it can be treated as a capital item. However, as we go through approach the year end, and we do have a surplus that will roll into the general surplus anyways at the end of 2018, and then this would come out. So it's, how the accounting works.
Okay.
I would rather do this than try to reallocate a portion of something in the 2018 capital that we may or may not be using by the end of the year. It'll have the same net effect.
Okay.
Councillor Edwards, any question marks?
No, okay.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Now we can go on to grant writing. Motion that council receive the report to council grant writing support.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Motion that council support a Village of McBride grant application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust for the grant writing support program for 2019 and agrees to support the overall grant management.
I'll move that.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Question? Discussion? Motherhood and apple pie, all in favor? Carried. Motion that council receive the report to council business facade funding.
Motion received.
Thank you. I'll second.
I'll second it. You got it?
All in favor? Carried. Motion that council approve the 2019 draft Village of McBride Business Facade Improvement Guide.
I'll move the draft
Thank you.
guidelines.
I'll second them. Any question? Sorry, yes.
Through the chair to administration, can you give us a Reader's Digest of whether there's any significant changes or can
Through the chair to the grant writer.
Through the chair to the grant writer. No, thanks.
Thank you. Through the chair, there are no significant changes this year for 2018 or 2019, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Motion that council supports the application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust from the Village of McBride for a grant of up to $20,000 for the business facade program and agrees to support the overall grant management.
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
I have a
Whoa,
question.
backing up.
This motion and the other one has agreed to support the overall grant management. Through the chair, why do we add that to the motion? Because it seems to me that's implied with the application for a grant.
A lot of the recommended resolutions ask that we indicate that we will provide the administration support for the grant. It's part of receiving the grant. There's, interim reporting, final reporting, financial reporting, so.
And if we didn't put that in the motion, we wouldn't do that?
We would do it, but I guess the resolution is for the sake of the funder, not for our internal purposes.
All right, just a question I had, I was wondering why it kept cropping up.
Yeah.
It does keep popping
'Cause
up
they've always
in
wanted us
in a
to
lot
add
of
it.
different ones, so we just automatic, do add it.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Community halls and recreation funding. Motion that council receive the report to council, community halls and recreation funding.
So moved.
Thank you. I'll second. A question? All in favor? Carried. Motion that council support a Village of McBride grant application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust for the community halls and recreation funding program for 2019 and agrees to support the overall grant management. I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Edwards?
I'm wondering about the wisdom of continuing to use the Bill Clark Memorial Ball Diamond. We've talked about this before at council, and it seems to me that it's a liability for the village if someone gets hurt. Because the netting that can be put up doesn't actually protect people that are over in by the pavilion at the various events that happen.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I think that they're actually separate issues. The fencing portion of this larger conversation around the Bill Clark Memorial Ball Diamond is separate from the stands. And the reason you can separate them is that about 100 children a year use the facility at school and for playing ball, and they're often young children, and the fencing is not an issue for them, but the bleacher safety is for them and the teachers and the parents who will come and watch them. So I think there may be a larger issue around the use of the ball tournaments and so on with adults, but it is and has been there for 100 years, and it's still used regularly through the season by younger children. So I think there's value in improving those stands and reducing the village's liability.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
I guess not at this time, but sooner or later, we have to stop spending money on that diamond and start developing a new diamond somewhere that can function for more than the school kids uses. And I think that my objection isn't to making the stands safer and making it more friendly for the students to use. That's not my objection. My objection is how much money can you continue to spend on that spot when we should be spending money on another spot that isn't a danger to the community. And so sooner or later we have to bite that bullet. This is my next to last meeting, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I just think that.
This isn't your ditch?
Sorry?
This isn't your ditch?
This isn't my ditch. I'm just saying that it's one of the things that we need to look at. I mean, I'll vote for this, but because it is kind of a motherhood issue but I raise it because I don't know when else to raise that.
It's a very good point.
That point of finding another spot to play ball.
Councillor Thompson?
Looking back at historical pictures, I do note that the ball diamond used to be in the opposite corner, which would have sent the balls out over the roadway and towards the alleyway between the Efree Church and the ball diamond. Perhaps moving forward in bleachers, perhaps there could be consideration to relocating the backstop and the direction of flight in a different direction, which is away from the park. And then it could be improved for all uses. I guess I bring up historical photos because I looked at them and I don't think you want to mess with history a little bit. That ball diamond has been there forever, and I think that if you were to discuss changing that park from a park to something else, you may end up with a lot of opposition because it does take away from the historic Grand Trunk Pacific Railway town layout, which was a train station and a park on either side. And I think there's value in preserving that and maybe changing it so it has a good value for both young kids and older players.
Okay, and as I recognize myself, I think that I would support this, but I really think we should look at ways to make it safer, taking both those points into account. Those are both really good points. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Motion that council receive the report to council on UBCM age-friendly grant application.
Absolutely. Moved.
You got it. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any question? All in favor? Carried. Motion that council approves the application for funding to the 2019 Age-Friendly Community Planning and Projects Grants to develop an age-friendly action plan for the Village of McBride and agrees to support the overall grant management. I will move that. Any seconders?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Question? Councillor Thompson?
Through the chair to administration, maybe to Karen, the CEDC. So what is the goal of this grant application?
So
And how much money?
Yeah, so the grant application would be for $25,000. I have some experience with this, with an age-friendly grant application. So a lot of communities have already have a age-friendly designation as an age-friendly community. So you have your consultant come in and help the community recognize where they have strengths and weaknesses, so we can begin to have kind of an action plan, and that becomes the base of your applying for other grant funding going forward, or recognizing what you need, what the community needs to become age-friendly. No different than if you were wanting to become, wheelchair accessibility friendly. So yeah, there's probably about 131 communities that have already accessed the funding since 2005, and they've actually committed 6.25 million to support the program to date since then. So it's, you know, with our desire to, you know, for seniors housing, for a number other, you know, senior programs, and some of the conversations we've been having, I just felt that it was, you know, a first step to have a foundational action plan specific to seniors. And there would be community engagement involved.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further question? All in favor? Carried. A motion that in accordance with Section 91C, Labor Relations or Other Employee Relations, I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that, in the view of council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public, council move into a closed in-camera meeting. Motion that the open meeting be recessed at 7:29 in order to conduct the closed in-camera meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Okay.
We need to have one more
Thank
motion
you.
in there.
Hmm?
We need to have one more motion in there.
Regular meeting, no.
Those were two separate.
Okay, sorry.
What
So
was
adjourn?
that, Sherry, that you need to put in there?
There were two separate motions
Two
there.
separate motions.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
No. The motion that in accordance that we move into in camera, and then the motion that the open meeting be recessed. Those are separate motions.
Oh, you just didn't put in a,
Oh,
They're
okay.
always separate. Yeah. No, we didn't have a motion made or seconded.
Okay, so a motion to recess the open meeting?
No.
It's not here. You guys are confusing me.
I'll move-
I'm old.
I'll move that we go into camera.
You did?
I'm doing that just so it's on the books.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Carried.
And then we recessed at 7:29.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But there needs to be a motion for that in this part of the meeting.
We just did
We
that.
just
did that.
We did that
We did
one
that.
first.
We skipped
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe just check your template so that you get that back in. to it.
It's in.
Yeah.
Motion.
Yeah.
I know what happened. We just didn't move and second it. We went.
Yeah.
We didn't move it, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
We've
we're
been
okay.
second to
We
begin
did
with.
it. I did it before
It's
7:29.
It's there.
It's done.